Hey, what's up, moviegoers, and welcome to yet again another Wednesday movie reviews, Cinema Thursdays. Due to uploading issues and file filling issues of backups, the Cinema Thursdays is having to be pushed till today. But anyhow, at least it's getting done. Yeah. As promised, the Cinema Thursdays is on Man of Steel, which is a 2013 superhero action movie directed by Zack Snyder and produced by Chris Nolan, who recently finished up his own superhero trilogy with The Dark Knight Rises. It stars Henry Cavill as Superman, and sorry, but this information is kind of at the top of my head. It sounds I'm taking a random shot in the dark about this, but I think it's Amy Adams. I think that's who plays Lois Lane. I think I remember that correctly, but yeah, as I said, shot in the dark. Yeah. The movie starts off with a purging and before the purging, a battle on of Krypton, and you have the famous Jor-El speaks about the core going to blow, etc. Also have about General Zod going into the Phantom, makes sense to the Phantom Zone, but reasons for those events have changed. The first one, it was due to a mechanism error in the planet's core, and the second is due to murder during a fight between the Elves and Zod. And of course, the launching of the tiny Kryptonian ship containing Kal-El. And after the crash onto the Kent farm is where I started having my problems with the movie. You see, it after that point had a whole lot of flashbacks showing the childhood of Superman on Earth, to the point that there's at least one point where it's hard to tell if there's two flashbacks before a present day sequence, or one flashback and one present day sequence. For the majority of the childhood, it shows about him thinking that he's realizing that he's not exactly normal, and seeing that he can use his powers to save people. And as an adult, he does that on a oil rig, and it's hard to tell if it's like two flashbacks and one present, where the present would be around the time of the discovery of the ship that's taking the place of the Kryptonian ship that's taking the place of the Fortress of Solitude. Or if it's one flashback, one present, where a childhood part that flashbacks to is the only flashback. Around that time. So that gets a bit confusing. Up until the discovery of that Kryptonian ship, takes the place of the famous Fortress of Solitude. And after the destruction of Krypton, you have flashbacks of Superman growing up and discovering his powers and using his powers to help people. You have the describing of the ship, in which also serves a investigation by Lois Lane about Superman, and Superman receiving a suit from a cabinet opened by a holographic form of his father, who was inserted into the ship's computers through a key that was sent in the pod with Superman as a baby. And thus is where he gets. It's where he gets his Superman suit. And soon after, some dodging reporters and also testing of powers and stuff afterwards. It gets towards the start of the battles against Zod, starting with Zod's ultimatum to the world and Superman. And around there is where I have my next problem with the movie. You see, as for the storylines with these characters, they aren't very, characters in this film are pretty off from what you would expect from these type of characters. On one hand, you have Zod, who is one that you would expect to be seeking to subjugate the Earth to his control, and reign as a tyrant. But this film shows him as a patriarch for Krypton, and to the point of his main goal, which is revealed after Superman turns himself in, is to turn Earth into a second Krypton. Very off character. On the other hand, you have Superman, who, during the fights, it is shown that he is not keeping himself in check of his powers, to the point that he starts doing these superhuman type. He starts the superhuman type fights against Zod, but not accounting in the fact about the human collateral damage. It's like they're trying to show Superman as a superhero, but at the same time have him play God to the point that he is like the version of Superman seen, like, for instance, in the recent video game Injustice: Gods Among Us. And it's like you can't have that character being a bad version of himself and a good version of himself at the same time. And also, you also have about the wars. It's like about the multiple battles. It's like you have Superman against one of the Kryptonians and then another, and etc. To the point that the collateral damage would be so high, so just a uncheck of powers is not saying it all. Like, not describing it all, I would say. In the end, it comes down. But in the end, it comes down to him stopping that world-altering machine to save the Earth. So it's like all for a greater good type thing, but the question that they have to ask themselves when, even if they're going to make a sequel, is to what cost. And that's due to the fact of the characters not being like themselves, and the confusion caused by the alternating story with the flashbacks. I would have to say that due to these two things, that even though it has really good god battles and visual effects, that on a scale of 1 star being poor and 5 stars being excellent, I would have to give this movie a 4 stars. Okay, so that's all for today, moviegoers, but we'll be back in 2 weeks' time, as I'm going to be out of town again. And I'll have a movie and movie sequel set to have reviews coming your way in 2 weeks' time. And until then, have a good rest of this week and all of next week, and catch you later. Bye.